Hey there, my name is Dawson. I own Dental Spurt. We are a dental marketing agency that helps dentists get more patients, whether that's Invisalign, you name it, bread and butter patients, doesn't matter. Whatever types of cases you want, we're able to generate. If that interests you, feel free to book a call, the link below. We also have a free guide that you can check out. If that interests you, feel free to look at that in the description or in the first comment. Without further ado, let's get into the video. In today's video, we are talking mindset. This is arguably the most important video that I have filmed. So to kick things off, let's start with why. So many dentists just jump to, oh, I need to get more patients before really identifying and diagnosing the issue. Ray Dalio, billion hedge fund manager, talks a lot about this in his book Principles, talks about actually diagnosing the problem. I'm sure you've heard of the phrase, before I cut down a tree, I'm going to sharpen the axe for the first 50 minutes and then use the next 10 minutes to actually cut down the tree. I believe Abraham Lincoln said that, and then Einstein said if I were to solve a problem, I'd spend the first either 50 or 55 minutes defining the problem and spend the next 5 or 10 minutes solving it. Defining the problem is so key, and it's what so many dentists overlook when it comes to actually getting more patients. So one thing I want to challenge you on is, are you trying to get more patients in order to hide an overhead issue? If your overhead is over 70%, if it's 90, maybe the issue isn't with patients, maybe it's more of trying to figure out what you can do to cut down on some of those costs. I know the argument, if I raise revenue, my overhead's going to go down a little bit, but you want to really make sure that bringing in patients, you're not fixing the symptoms. You want to make sure you're actually fixing the root cause. Another good example of this is from Dr. Abernathy. He made a book about marketing and just practices in general. He talks about if your referral rate is too low, you do not want to be marketing because you're just recreating. It's like a negative feedback loop. You are essentially just getting more bad reviews and kind of digging yourself in a hole. Whereas if you improve the patient experience, if you improve that first and then market, it's going to be so much easier than trying to have all these patients and then fix the root cause and then try and go back. So it's what I see a lot of dentists try and do. It's really critical that you ask yourself that question and get honest about what the root cause really is. Now we're going to talk about the mindset needed for success. We're going to break this down into a couple different parts. First one is being adaptable. One of my favorite quotes is by Bruce Lee. It says, "Be like water." And he goes on to talk about how when you put water in a glass, it becomes a glass, or in a tea kettle, it becomes the kettle. In order for you to be successful, not only with just your practice in general, but with marketing, is you need to be willing to change. You need to be willing to, if something isn't working, if you are not seeing the results you want, you need to take an honest look at what you're doing and be willing to change the things that you thought were true. One of Mark Twain's, one of his best quotes is, assumptions are where you go wrong. You need to be willing to change parts of something that don't work. Another great quote is by Mark Twain. It's not the things that we don't know that are going to get us into trouble. It's things that we think we know for sure that just aren't so. Kind of paraphrasing there, but it's really important in marketing to test your assumptions, to not die by the stake and hold true to a certain idea about your practice or your form of marketing. You need to be willing to change almost about everything in order to really be successful and really get the results that you want. The next part to having a successful mindset is to think long term. What do you want to get out of your practice? What are you looking to do long term? Really take some time to consider this. There are so many dentists that are mailing it in, that are burnt out, that they're complacent, that haven't really found out what they want from their practice. Or maybe they feel like they're stuck or in a place where they can't get what they want. So it's almost like learned helplessness. This is so critical. One book that's helped me recently has been Walden by Henry David Thoreau. Highly, highly, highly recommend this book. Unfortunately, this book has kind of been almost like a meme, if you will, if you've seen Into the Wild, where that guy goes into the Alaskan wilderness in a bus, and it's based on a true story. But it's this idea of that famous quote, "The mass of men lead live lives of quiet desperation. What is resignation is confirmed desperation. And then he just continues to go on how most people are asleep. Most people are, when they wake up, when they get out of bed, do they actually wake up? Like, does their heart actually wake them up, or are they just up because the alarm is, and then from there they're just asleep the rest of the day, just like mailing it in? Really encourage you to ask yourself that honest question if you are mailing it in or if you are just doing this to do it. I would encourage you to stop what you're doing and go talk it out with someone, find help if you have to, and really figure out what you want, because there are too many people in dentistry and in the world in general that get to where they want. And there's a good example of someone I knew recently hit $100,000 a month in their business, which is something they wanted for so long. And when they got there, they cried. And they cried not out of, they were so happy, but they cried because it wasn't what they expected. The next thing I want to talk about is focusing on your patient. You've heard me quote Dr. Ella Braschi so many times on this channel, but for the sake of this video, meet your patient's mind before you meet your patient's mouth. Talk about Sam Walton a lot on this channel. He thinks he spends more time in his competitor stores than his own. Sam Walton's founder of Walmart. In order for you to be successful, you need to see your practice through the eyes of your patients. I would encourage you to almost hire a secret shopper, hire maybe someone that your staff isn't aware of, maybe warn them like beforehand, like, hey, we're gonna have a secret shopper, just so you don't violate any trust there. But what a secret shopper is someone that comes in, they're kind of like an undercover patient, and they take really detailed notes on their entire experience from the very start to the end. This gives you really good intel on what to change, on improving your patient experience, because that is the lifeblood of your practice. If your patient experience is not down pat, do not advertise, do not pass go, do not collect $200, whatever. I haven't played Monopoly in so long. That's critical. Get that down pat before anything else. The last tip is kind of a funny one. Use common sense. Common sense is not common in today's world. I even find for myself, when I have too much coming in, I have too many messages. So what I do, in order for me to think clearly and to use common sense, I need to really limit how much media, how much phone, like how much I'm on my phone, how much music I'm listening to, how many videos I'm watching. If I am aware and I clamp down on those, I'm able to think clearly and make effective decisions. If you're able to think clearly, you don't need someone like me telling you what to do. That's really true with anything in life. I think the answer, if you really ask yourself, what is the one thing that you need to do in order to fix your practice? You could answer that question, right? You could answer that question right now. But honestly, in order for you to know that and to really trust that, you have to limit what you take in. This is just maybe a tip that I'd like to give people. And it's common sense. Getting to common sense is common sense. Limit how much you're taking in. Give yourself some space just to think clearly about the issues you're running into, and then the answer will show up. That's just how our brains work. That's just what happens. But in the modern day world with so many things coming in, it's critical to have disciplines and to kind of build into your daily routine how to limit those distractions so that you can get to where you want to go. Well, anyway, I hope this video was useful. I hope you took away some mindset. Hopefully it wasn't too cheesy or corny. But things I talked about today are relevant to me, so they come from a very personal place. So hopefully you got some value out of that. If you're interested in possibly getting some marketing done for your practice, I have a link in the first comment. If you are just kind of kicking tires, I have a guide for you. Check that guide out in the comment section below. And until next time, I will see you later.